Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to try and take the contents of this box and fix a very important part of this rather rare and unique camper. Coming up next. That is right. What you're looking at behind me is a 2008 Keystone Outback Loft Edition camper with a loft in the back end. It's pretty unique. There are only a couple hundred of them made for only a few years. I believe it was 2007 and 2008, and then they were discontinued. I don't know why, because there is actually a pretty good following for them. The downside is parts to replace them, especially the loft, are darn near unobtainium. You've got behind me a fold-out toy hauler access for like a dirt bike or a four-wheeler or something like that. Not as big as side-by-side or anything like that, but does have a Murphy bed in the back. There is a slide-out on the other side in the kitchen area, a bathroom here in the center. But let's run upstairs. Yes, upstairs, and see if we can't see the coolest part of this thing. So up here is an actual loft area. You've got, let me back up and show you. You've got a handful of steps coming up from the living area into a loft with a rigging system very similar to a pop-up camper. The downside is all of the parts where the lift section should be is over here on the ground, and I doubt you can see in here due to light. But all the mechanisms in here, I'll grab a light eventually, are disassembled, removed, and in some cases, missing. Now, how did we get to this point? Let's go back out in the light, and I'll tell you. So the story goes, the loft section broke a couple years ago because we have these super long springs, or rolled steel cables, that go and push along the four corners and elevate the whole roof section. Well, these broke. My friend, actually, it's not my camper. Yes, I don't have 4 campers now. I still only have 3. But this is my friend's camper. And she took it to a shop, have it repaired. Long story short, and all drama spared, the camper was left in pieces, and missing parts we found out, and broken parts. The broken parts, I assume, were why the lift section would no longer go up and down, but nonetheless, it was not repaired. This is probably 4 or 5 years ago, I think now, and parts were missing. So it's our job to put it back together. That's where this box comes in, and there's a good story behind it. I reached out to a number of dealers in the area, friends in the RV industry, trying to figure out where I can go to get these springs. I went to Keystone directly, I went up to Thor. Everyone said they can't help me, nobody makes anything for this anymore, you're out of luck. I went, did a number of hours poking around on the interwebs and found a company by the name of Goshen. Goshen Spring System is the system in the traditional current pop-up campers, and I found some diagrams for their products. And it looked very similar, and I reached out to them, talked to a really nice lady, and unfortunately they did not have parts going back this far in this length. Most of the springs today, cables today come in about 97 or 103 inch lengths. We need these about 150 inches or just shy of that for this system. Thankfully, she referred me to a company called Micromatic Spring in Illinois. And I actually ended up talking with the owner of the company, Dennis, and this box of parts should be 4 new sets of springs that are almost ready to go on to the camper. The downside is we have to do a little fabrication ourselves, and the bits that broke off these long cables have a, looks like about a 7-inch chunk of steel rod welded in the end of them, and those go into the telescoping arms, and when you run the motor, whoop, up it goes. downside is we have to make this part and build these cables. So that's what we're going to try and do, and get them back up into the camper, get everything reassembled. And the other fun part is, over the years, we've had a little water intrusion up there, so we have some wood issues to deal with too. So first, let me see if I can get a little better light up there. We'll take a look at the rigging system for our cable system and try and get that put together and go on from there. So up under that canvas area, in the loft area, there is this crossbar here that goes back and forth, and in here goes a steel cable, and there's a couple of tabs on it. So when the cable goes this way, it pushes these cables up, and when it comes back this way towards the motor, it pushes the other set of cables up. And they run through these tubes over here. You can see these chunks of conduit around and then up through the side. There's one support arm that goes here and then runs all the way to the back of the camper. And the same thing over here on the passenger side. We've got a pulley here to go ahead and move everything around and get it where it needs to be. And it looks like that's been taken apart too. So, and here's that cable that feeds back through this piece of metal. Now downside, like I said, everything's been taken apart, and well, parts of it are missing. One of these sets of cables that should lift up the camper is missing. So yeah, we've got a problem. And since there really is not a lot of good place to work, a lot of light up here, there's a couple things I need to do. One is get this assembly up here put back together, get the cable run through our pipe again, and get our tubes reassembled, and get our push arms, or our arms, back in place where they go. And these are our telescoping sections, and there's 4 of them. As those cables get pushed up, it extends the arms, and then up goes the roof. There's also a few other repairs to do up under here, and yeah, so I'm going to focus on that again. Not a whole lot I can do to keep you in here. I'll try, but really not a lot to see. Just a couple of bolts getting put back in and just checking things out. So let me get this apparatus reassembled up here, and then I will come back and we'll try and figure out how to weld those bars back in the end of our new cables, cut those to length, and put this thing back together. It sounds pretty simple, doesn't it? Well, it shouldn't be that tough in theory, but well, we'll see how it goes. The nice thing is the motor, I can show you that real quick, does still work. And that is a good thing to see, because that's another thing that, how are you going to find a replacement for it? So yeah, I'm gonna keep working and stop yakking. Okay, well, I've gone about as far as I can up here for right now. Again, not a whole lot has changed, but I've gotten some things figured out, and here's what we got. So this bar is secured and bolted down to the structure again. That's not going anywhere. And how these work is you've got that cable that goes through a pulley, I said, and then when you put your cables back in here, there's 2 channels. One runs this way, the other runs that way. But we have these little bars in here, and when the cables run in and out, if I could actually hold it, these pull out. In this case, when the cable gets pulled in, there we go, you can see me. When the cable gets pulled in, this pulls against those 2 long springs with the studs in the end of them, and that's what raises up the roof. And then on the other side we have another one, albeit slightly bent. I'll have to fix right here. Similar deal, it pulls forward on the springs and pushes them up. Now the downside is this one should have a cable clamp on it, and it is missing, so I'm guessing that's part of our failure. I need to make sure it's not hiding in here or in here anywhere. no obstructions. Now I need to run to the hardware store and grab another cable clamp so we can keep that where it goes, and then I've got to figure out where it goes along this section. But for now, I think we're going to duck out of the camper, go down, get on the shop floor, and measure out those new springs and get those cut and get the end solid rod welded in the end. So that's what we're going to go do. Alrighty, behind me are one of the two sets of springs, or pushers, whatever you want to call these things, spring cables, push cables, whatever. The other set was missing, and I did not really dig into this thing a whole lot. When I came down here last fall, I figured, you know, it's a spring project, it's cold over the winter, we're not going anywhere anyways. But we have one of our two cables, and the assumption is they're the same on both sides, so that's what I'm going to go with. And in this cardboard box are our new cables. So they have to be cut to length. And then I have another little baggie of goodies in the camper with the end pieces. Oh, here we go. With these little end pieces and two more bolts, leg screws. So we need to measure these out, cut them, and then we've got my rod back there, about 7 inches long. Measure how far they stick out at the end of the spring, and then weld them up, which is welder is right over here. Right there. Yeah, which for me, I'm looking at a blue toolbox, but that's where the welder is. Anyways, let's just get these things cut, welded together. Okay, we've got one of our 4 cables welded up here. You can see that about 1 3/4 sticking out of the end of the spring cable. And I did go ahead and decide I'm not going to cut these off out here. I want to get these made up, welded up, and then run them through all the channeling and tubes in the camper. And then once everything is fed to where it should be at its most retracted state, then I can go ahead and cut off the other end of these cables to make sure I'm not shorting myself anything. Granted, these were a little bit long. I don't think I'm missing any broken chunks between first and second pieces, but one spring, the break points of the spring itself here don't really match up perfectly, and I would expect them to. So like I said, I'm going to be overly cautious and not cut anything until everything is up there, run through all the channeling, and then that cross beam, that cross channel where the cable feeds through. Then I can go ahead, make sure everything is retracted properly, cut off the ends, put in our little brackets with our leg bolts, and move on with life. So I'm going to get the rest of these welded up, and we'll follow up when we're back up in the camper trying to assemble this thing. Alrighty, it's a new day down here in the Outback loft, and we are in the loft of the Outback. I've got a good idea of how this goes back together, and if you can see, sorry for the hand, we're on the driver's side here. We have these telescoping assemblies. They bolt up on here, down into here, where our spring cables come up, and they route into this channel here, like I said, through, and then out the back. Now, this end over here, I need to cut off this long one so they're flush, and then both of these have to come back out because the steel cable needs to get pushed back through. But at least I have an idea of how this whole thing goes back together now, and I seem to have most of the pieces, maybe not the nylock nuts for the top of here, but we can at least find something to get it put back together with and get the right hardware for it. But yeah, I'm going to take this side apart again. I've got to push the cables out, cut the one down like I said, and I thought I needed one of these cable clamps. I don't. It was in here, buried in the light. Hello. There you go. It was buried in the rod here. But then we have this guy here. So as the cable pulls back, he will push against this cable clamp, and pull these rods or these push springs through the channel, out through here and up into the telescoping arms and into the extensions here, raising the loft section. So excuse the troublesome camera work. It's really tough to work around this canvas. For me, much less with a camera, but so we're, like I said, working on getting this tidied up. I've got to push that cable through, but at least I have a direction of what we're doing. I had a direction before, but now I have confirmation that I'm headed the right way, I think. It is a little tedious, a little troublesome to get everything in the right place. Like you see, I've got the camper blocked up, or the loft blocked up about 5 inches, just so I can have room to get all of these parts in down here. And I still have to get the hardware to attach them back into the walls. But one step at a time. I guess one piece at a time. So I'm going to go ahead, pull these cables back out, get them shortened up, get the push cable, steel cable wrapped through where it should be, back through the pulley. Remember, there's a pulley here that the steel cable goes through, and that pulls back. So when you reel in the steel cable, it pulls back this side, which raises or pushes these two out. And then at the other end, there is, where is it? There's another one of these that pulls this way towards the pulley, which will raise the push springs on the passenger side of the loft. So hopefully that kind of clears up how this system works. Normally on different pop-ups, they're under the camper. They're a lot easier to get to, but not in this unicorn. So I'm going to keep working. Again, not much to see right now, but hopefully when I come back, we're going to have this thing pretty well wrapped up, ready to see if it actually will go up. Alrighty, well, we've got the driver's side in pretty well fixed with some adjustments over here to do where it fits into this cross tube, but the cables are run front to back and going up into these these telescoping sections here. We've also got the passenger side run, and now they're sticking way out. A little bit of water damage we have to deal with, but the cables are hanging out because they need to get pushed back in, because they're ending right here right now. So they've got to get pushed back the distance of this crossbar, so we can go ahead and put in the telescoping sections here and in the back, and hopefully then that's going to allow us to think about raising it up. And sorry for the light, but I think to push those other two sections in, I'm going to need a hand, and luckily my friend the owner, she's headed down here with her guy, so we're going to hopefully tackle this thing this afternoon, and it'd be really great if it worked. Everything looks like it's lining up like it should. Again, my biggest concern is that these cables we had were broken, but lengthwise, it looks like it's gonna go. So I'm gonna run up and grab a bite to eat quick before we hopefully get this final stretch and be able to lift this loft up after, I think it's been 4, 5, 6 years, something like that. So yeah, exciting. Alrighty, we're back here in the land of no light except for headlamps, and went ahead, built a new cable, the pull cable, that is significantly longer to connect up to the motor. So hopefully now we won't have any more issues with that pulling out of the spool. And also having some steel angle brackets made for, well, out here. See, I've got some past moisture damage, and making some brackets that bolt into the floor and into some better wood on the wall to hold our supports for the uprights. So we're gonna go ahead, keep working on this. Hopefully very soon we'll be able to lift this thing up, and there's a dog down there. Anyways, we'll keep working through here, and I'm not sure I can really show you too much pulling this cable through, but we'll try. Alrighty, I've got you setting on a 2x4 and some Uncle Gus's mouse magic, whatever that stuff's called. Anyways, our new end here gets fed through. Yeah, I gotta figure this out. I want the other end. Goes through the bottom. There we go. Pulls through. And now we've got our, let me show you, I crimped on a new clamp here and then on the other end of the cable. So this gets fed in. And then two of these conduit chunks go in down here for this side and push up against this other thing I'll show you in just a minute. Where'd it go? Way down there. A two-story camper, that's kind of neat. Anyways, there's one of these guys here on the other end, and when the spool, well, when the wire spools up, it pulls, like I said, this way, pulling the cable out, which forces these two push springs up, and then this goes through our pulley right here, back the other direction, and these other two springs are on this other side, and as they pull forward, as the wire pulls in against this other clamp, it pulls up this side or pushes up this side. So I'm going to feed this back through and hopefully get our uprights in, our other supports over here, and be ready to go. Alrighty, here's one of those brackets we're putting in to mount against the sidewall, and then as you see our conduit and upright bolted in. That's noisy over there. Fixing that stuff in. And so now I've got something strong and secure to bolt into. Over here is not as bad, but you can see that there is, actually this side's not bad, you can't see it, but there was water damage down here and pretty soft. So not something we want to reattach the uprights to. Well, there's no big camper behind me anymore, which is a good thing. The good news is we got it working. Most of the way working here. It needed some final adjustments. The bad news is, well, not really bad news. It was just logistics of Nicole getting down here, planning, times between their schedule, our schedule here, and summer she wants to use the thing. So we got it 90% of the way there. It needed some final adjustments for those push springs so everything lined up properly. I guess Nick put another 2 hours into fiddling with it back at their place. So end of the day, it works after many years of not working, so I'm really happy that this Neanderthal could pick through the remnants of what was left of that thing, find the right parts, and put them back together for him. So again, thanks to the team at Goshen or Goshen Stamping, however you pronounce it, for getting me in touch with the Micromatic spring guys, who apparently made this type of push spring for, and still do, for many of the camper pop-up applications by the major vendors. Unfortunately, going up to Keystone, any of the regional dealers, nobody seemed to want to help or care or know where to look. I guess that's kind of a breakdown. I mean, sure, it's a 17-year-old camper, but still, it's a system commonly used today. Somebody should have had some information, and I guess I was that somebody who figured it out. So a check in my book for figuring out random camper stuff nobody else can, considering it showed up missing half the parts and broken. Anyways, I digress. I'm glad that it is back working for Nicole. Nice chance to reconnect with a classmate from a number of years ago. I'm not going to say how many because that's going to date both of us. So anyways, we're going to get rolling. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button below. We've got a whole other camper disaster out there to start working on soon. But I've got this other Dodge disaster behind me to keep working on. So we'll see you real soon in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.